Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham is discussing the government's relationship with the leadership of the Grand Bahama Port Authority. He addressed it during a press conference on the island this week. As Natalie Martinburr reports, an issue of concern which caused tension between the two sides appears to have been resolved.
That's a fact.
The nation's leader says he believes that Sir Jack Hayward is now willing to cooperate with the government. And this spirit of cooperation, he notes, can only work to Grand Bahama's benefit.
I had a very good chat with Sir Jack, and I am of the view that Sir Jack is going to be cooperative with the government will be cooperative with him and the Port Authority. They have some plans that they will announce in due course themselves that we will be supportive of. And as I indicated, as Shivago indicated before, we are willing to do specific investment promotions for Grand Bahama, and we made available $500,000 from the government and asked the business community and the port in Grand Bahama to match us, and we would take Freeport on the road.
Former Port Authority Chairman Hans Babak was at the center of the reported dispute. The apparent breakdown between the government and the Port Authority came towards the end of 2009 when the government opted not to renew Babak's work permit. The Prime Minister revisited that issue on Wednesday.
We found Hans Babak unacceptable. We came to that conclusion for good, valid, sound reasons. And recent events have reaffirmed and reconfirmed to us that he is not a suitable person to be in charge of the port. See, you got to bear in mind, Mr. Hans Babak came to the Bahamas on the basis that he was a moneyed person who didn't need to work. He got permanent residence and be able to work in his own business, not to go and work for somebody else.
The Prime Minister says the challenge may have developed as a result of an apparent misunderstanding on the part of Sir Jack Hayward. He says Sir Jack now has a better understanding of what took place and has decided to move forward.
Sir Jack was told a lie. He put it in the newspaper. He said that we had refused Hans Babak work permit without telling him anything, etc. That's a total lie. Bronwyn McCartney, who leads this party called the DNA, was the Minister of Immigration. I dispatched him to Freeport to have a meeting with Hans Babak, to tell Hans Babak that we no longer regarded him as someone who should be in charge of the Port Authority and that we would not give him a work permit when his permit expired. He had his notice. Hans Babak was not satisfied with that. He got Sir Albert Miller to call me, so that he and Sir Albert Miller come to Nassau to see me. They both came. He wanted to know whether Mr. McCartney spoke for the government or for himself. I assured him that McCartney came to Grand Bahama to see you upon my instruction, and he delivered the message I sent. That is, that you are not the person we are going to support to be in charge of the port. Sir Jack never knew any of that. Sir Jack was told something different.
But that was 2 years ago, and when asked why a resolution didn't come earlier, the Prime Minister says it wasn't for the lack of trying.
You have no idea how many times I met with Sir Jack. I met with Sir Jack on many occasions. I'm delighted that Sir Jack has now come to the conclusion that we can have a chat as we used to in the past that's uninfluenced by any other considerations.
Natalie Martinburr, ZNS News.
Environmental concerns over the potential damage the MSC Poesia cruise liner caused when it ran aground in Grand Bahama 2 weeks ago has been addressed by the Minister for the Environment, Earl Deveaux. He said the government and the Grand Bahama Port Authority have launched an investigation.
What has happened, the great benefit we have in our country, particularly with our coral, is coral grows back very much like a broken bone. So once you can identify the damage that was done, so long as it's structural in nature, the paint could be peeled off, the coral could be cultured and recultivated, and since the ship is insured and you have marine biologists and insect biologists as well as other scientists who are trained in coral reef remediation, we know what to do.
Now, authorities also need to find out whether it was human error or a faulty navigation system. Mr. Deveaux said depending on the outcome, there could be some serious consequences.
We've had incidents at sea before, and depending on the nature of them, you can have a wreck commission, or you just have a naval investigation with competent persons from the IMO, from regional bodies, or from our own nationals doing the investigation, and then the law takes its course.
Well, we want you to keep those Family Island news stories coming. Just drop us a line at finews@znsbahamas.com. We'll be waiting to hear from you.